Hello and welcome to Inside Katsina on Trust TV. I'm Ibrahim Yusuf. Now, the office of the Secretary to the State Government could be described as the engine room that drives activities of government, as anything that has to do with governance and policy implementation passes through the office of the SSG. Now, in light of this, it is expected that to understand the inner workings of the government, the office of the SSG would be a perfect place to start. On this episode of Inside Katsina, which is the first of two parts, we have the privilege of speaking with Mustafa Muhammad Inwa, the former Secretary to the Government of Katsina State, as he takes us through how his office has been able to coordinate the affairs of the government under the esteemed leadership of His Excellency Aminu Bello Masari from inception to date. Let's take a look.
When we took over, I was the chairman of the Transition Committee. We realized in December 2014, in the various accounts of governments, there was over 30 billion naira in various accounts in December 2014, before the elections. But by the time elections were held, and fortunately and for us and unfortunately for the then government, we won the election. From February to May, 26 billion naira was squandered. What we made was just about 4 billion naira out of the 30 billion within a period of 5 months. For December, we got the weather, we have the account. After we took over, we have access to the account, you can understand. So we are able to see this. By December, they had over 30 billion. But by the time we took over, we had just a little over 4 billion. And not only that, we had accumulated unpaid gratuity of those who left the services of the state, over 1 billion naira. The government was indebted, was owing the beneficiaries, some have even died, over 12 billion naira, and other contracts and so on. And the sectors were ignored, especially education. Schools were congested. Unfortunately, we started the congestion during the late era of when I was Commissioner of Education. But the government that inherited us did not continue with that program. So the facilities, in quite a number of schools were terribly badly, and schools congested, teachers morale down, no promotion, and other incentives. So also in all other sectors, you go to the hospital, you are in a terribly bad shape. And the morale generally of the people and particularly civil servants are down because the government had no concern for their welfare and other things. So that's how we made the situation, because I could remember within a day before we came, and incidentally, that coincided with the day the then President, Jonathan visited Katsina, in a village in Pascal local government. About 140 people were killed by the bandits. You understand? The unfortunate thing was that the government didn't care to pursue the situation, to address the issue, to get the security agency and see what they could do before the thing escalated into a certain bad situation. So that's how we came, and unfortunately, by the time we came, the economy globally was going down, especially countries that rely largely on oil as their source of income. Nigeria, unfortunately, is one of those countries. So the market was crashing. The prices were going down by the day. I don't know whether you can recall during the previous administration, Jonathan period, and crude oil was even sold at one point at $140. In fact, sometimes even more. At some time up to 165. And they're able to get up to, at one time, 2.5 million barrels a day, the quota given to Nigeria, and Nigeria was able to get that. But unfortunately, from the time this government came into being, crude oil was sold as low as $27. 27. From an average of $100 to as low as 27. And also, the quantity dropped to a point of up to 500. So that is half a million. And as I'm talking to you now, the market is still going down globally. And then the issue of COVID came, which worsened the situation. So we were confronted with so many things that required funding. Unfortunately, here in the north, Katsina in particular, we relied 99.9% on the federation accounts. What we get internally is nothing to write home about, because the highest at a point we were able to generate was 600 million naira a month as internal revenue. And this 600 million, most of it was paid, so it is government money going back to government. So in a state where its wage bill alone is over 5 billion, both local and state civil servants, at one time we are getting as low as 4 billion naira from the federation accounts. Sometimes, if we get 5 billion, we are happy. But before then, the previous government was getting up to 10 billion naira, especially state and local government combined. You understand? So we have so many competing demands in all the sectors, in health, in education, in water resources, roads, rural electrification, youth empowerment, women, and so on, recruitment. But we are always struggling at a point to ensure that we pay salaries, which is becoming difficult in some states to do. But here we make sure that we pay salaries, we pay pension to those who have retired. And also we work out a program that we are paying gratuity gradually according to the resources available. As I'm talking to you now, we have settled all those who have retired up to 2018. We are now moving to 2019, 2021, and 2022.
Now, no government can adequately function without the availability of funds to carry out its activities. But the availability is one thing, and judicious allocation and distribution of scarce resources is another thing entirely. Now, despite numerous challenges, the Katsina State government has been able to channel these scarce resources to areas where they would have the most impact on the lives of the people. We'll take a short break now, and when we return, Inside Katsina continues. Do stay with us. Welcome back to Inside Katsina on Trust TV, where we have been talking to Mustafa Muhammad Inua, the former SSG to the government of Katsina State. He gives us some insight into some of the sectors the present administration has been able to have the most impact despite seemingly scarce resources. And of course, we'll get a first-hand account of the government's fight against insecurity.
We were able to do quite a lot. We rehabilitated and also constructed new schools with facilities. We have been recruiting teachers. Apart from the S-Power program, we injected about 7,000 teachers in both primary and secondary school in the state, which was never done before. And we're able to upgrade, if you go around, almost all the major hospitals in the state. You go to Katsina, Kultua, Kankia, Dusama, it's ongoing. And so also the water issue, quite a number of some local governments, for a very long time, they had no water. They had not been getting water from the water system, from the water works of the water board. We were able to do the especially places like Malumfashi, and we are on together with the federal government to ensure that from Dusama to Katsina, from Dusama to Kapin Soli, Kankia, and Charanchi will be provided with adequate water. This is a project that is going on between federal government and state government. So we are able to really address quite a number of issues, despite the fact that we have serious financial problem. And also, we are confronted with this lingering security situation. The government is spending a lot of money on security, which otherwise would have been used to develop other sectors, if not because of the expenditure on security. We are spending a lot of money on that because, as you know, security situation, security issues, largely it's a federal government responsibility. Federal government is supposed to be responsible for the security of the people, especially a situation of this nature, where it involves the military, because banditry, terrorism, and all these are beyond what ordinarily local arrangement can be done. So the army, which is 100% controlled by the president, the other security agencies are supposed to be funded and directed by the government. But as the situation is, maybe accept salaries and purchase of arms and ammunition, all other things are left with the state government. One weekend, the first thing we did was to support the security agencies and ensure them to confront these people. And they started very well. We were able to arrest, bring to book quite a number of these bandits. We were able to recover, if I don't forget, over 30,000 heads of cattle from these bandits. We were able to recover quite a number of things. So on their own, through Mieti, they sought for dialogue. The leadership of some of the bandits sort of dialogue through the Mieti Allah leadership. We gave them a try. Initially, there were apprehension, even among us, including the security agencies. But we believe worldwide there's nothing wrong in sitting to meet, to discuss peaceful ways as against what the in worldwide, even while the war is held, we found that you could sit down and negotiate. So we started talking with quite a number of them, about 6 of them initially. Though later they invited us to their camps. Many of us, especially the security agencies, initially objected, but we insisted we should go. Even if we may lose our lives, I think it's for our people, so that's the price of leadership. So when they started very well, quite a number of them surrendered their arms. On the 15th of January, I think 2017, in Kankara, a ceremony was held. A lot of them, including the then leader of the bandits, Buhari Daji, came. We collected over 400 assorted firearms from them. And that was the committee people have been talking about that I checked. So later we advised the government to appoint a committee which consisted all the security agencies that it has, representative of the Emirates, representative of Meta Allah, civil society, press, representative of the repentant bandits, quite a number of them, and we were meeting almost every 2 weeks, reviewing situation. I was chairing that committee, and it was very well. People were surrendering, many of them were coming back to town. Some even were able to perform Hajj that very year. A lot of them bought houses in the towns and cities and brought their families here. Unfortunately, two things happened. Other states, neighboring states, refused to accept this dialogue. Zamfara and Kaduna in particular. And we are neighbors. The forest is one. In fact, Zamfara has almost 80% of this forest we are talking about. Katsina has just about 20%. So those bandits who refuse to accept this dialogue continue to harass those who have accepted dialogue. In fact, they killed most of them. Most of them were killed. I could mention the name before we are meeting with them regularly. And those who continue with the banditry move to Zamfara. They have free, they could do anything. So also to Kaduna. So only those in Katsina were harassed. And those who moved to cities and towns were also intimidated, especially by some security agencies, by the police in particular. This Abba Kyari's team. They will come, arrest a person, claim he had a gun, and he must pay a certain amount of money. Or even in some cases, they carried away all their lives. I know of one person who 150 of his cases were taken away by these people. In one version, they took about 460. We wrote the petition. And personally, I told Abba Kyari this. So these people became, you understand, we have left this, we are now in the city, and we are being harassed. And then they all back to the forest and continue the military. You understand? So had it been, because for 2 years here in Katsina, we were living in peace. People were moving, market, you see people, women coming to the market, planning coming to the market. People who continue their activities as years back. Unfortunately, these two major things, non-participation of the neighboring state and the harassment, those who have left, moved to the towns, moved to the cities, you understand, by the police in some cases, by the army, led these people to go back to forest and continue the banditry. You see, worldwide, especially United Nations, has certain classification of criminals and criminalities. You see, for ordinary bandits, there are certain things that you are not allowed to do. There are certain weapons that you cannot even use. If you do, you will be sanctioned. Just ordinary dropping of bombs, this Tucano and so on, you can't use that on bandits. It's not allowed. You can only use that on those classified as terrorists. That is why what is happening in Northeast is different from what is happening in Northwest. Up to this moment, officially, United Nations has not accepted these people as terrorists. They are seen and considered as ordinary bandits, ordinary thieves, ordinary criminals. You cannot use certain things against them. But we know what they do even worse than some terrorists do. But what you do, you are controlled by international rules and conventions. You understand? Even selling of these firearms and so on, you are given conditions. If you violate, you will be sanctioned, especially America. You get the point. So that is another thing that is really affecting the quick execution of whatever in this area. So if, say, they are considered as terrorists, because to them, just stealing, banditry, and so on is not enough, but to declare you terrorist. And moreover, they are not fighting on any ideological thing, unlike the Boko Haram people. And here also, if you even want to negotiate, with whom do you negotiate? Because there are criminals spread across. Within one camp, you see different groups. But maybe places where people fight on ideology, on religion, on certain things, you can negotiate with the leader and you claim that you have somebody that you negotiate with. So there are so many things attached to this that really not helping the situation. But like we said, we are looking at the local arrangement to see what we can do to reinforce the position of the security agency. All we want is how do we arrive, how do we achieve peace? You understand? How do we achieve peace? How do we make sure we return normalcy in this area? Because this is really affecting us seriously. It is affecting our education. In this area, most of our schools have not been open for all these years. It's affecting our agriculture, which is the main source of livelihood to our rural people. A lot of them are not going into farm. That's why you see everything going up, especially foodstuff and so on. So also commerce. It's really because our markets and so on are not really holding like they used to. So we really have to face this issue and ensure whatever it takes for us to return peace into our area. We have to do that.
Now, it is a fact that no meaningful development can take place in any society without adequate security. And the giant strides being made by the Katsina State government in this regard has paved the way for marked improvement in the development of other sectors, such as education, health, and agriculture. That wraps up this episode of Inside Katsina on Trust TV. Join us again next week when we shall explore other sectors being impacted positively by the administration of Governor Aminu Bello Masari. Until then, I'm Ibrahim Yusuf. Thanks for joining us.